Sir, that is not a swimming pool. Please get your llamas out of our drinking water. I swear, some people just have no manners. Hello there, and welcome back to Roguecraft. I am Gragore, and this is the very much delayed final episode of Season 5. With work, life, and everything else, I haven't had time to make all the videos I want, so today we're just going to have a final look around the base and see what all I was up to. You know, what got done, what almost got done, what never even got started. You know, one final look before we say, goodbye, Season 5, and move on to Season 6. Now, when I entered this season, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I found this village and thought, you know, let's transform the village into an all-purpose base. This is what it looked like when I found it. Lots of empty spaces to fill in. Now, my style of Minecrafting is to try and work with what you find. What I mean by that is, obviously, you can do some landscaping to tailor it to what you want, but none of that tearing everything down and building it up from a massive piece of flat ground. I mean, what's the point of finding a good spot if you just demolish everything and start over from scratch? There was something about the spot that got your attention, so build while trying to preserve whatever it was that drew you to the spot in the first place. And that is what I tried to do. Now, obviously, I didn't get to everything I wanted to do, but this is what the base looks like now. I think we can agree that's a drastic difference. I did a lot more landscaping around the village than I normally do, but that was mainly to build up the hills around the village to not only create a way to display the sniffer flowers, but to place the village in a idyllic little valley that's cut off from the wilderness to the east and north. I think it turned out pretty well, but let's take a closer look to see a bit more of the details. And here we are outside Chateau Le Gragore. It's a small little house, but it's all I really need. There's not much in decoration inside, it's just functional and efficient. There's a little bed, some books, candlelight to read by. But this is my main storage area. I know I've gone over this before, but I've seen a lot of other players' storage areas, and I just don't understand the desire to have massive rooms with thousands of chests holding everything. I have dirt. And when I have lots of dirt, I put it in shulkers. Here's all my dirt and grass. It's all in one spot. Here's all the other variations on dirt. Here's all my stone bricks, every variation. Here's all my deep slate. All the variations. I have lots of shulkers, but when I go to build, I want to grab a shulker. It's very simple. Keeps everything easy to find. The big storage areas are good for storing everything if you want to walk a mile to get to your stuff, but if you want to get to it really quick. And it works. I know it's not for everybody, but it's the only way I do it anymore. But back out here in the village, there's something I want to talk about. The pathing blocks. I know variated texturing and all these fancy block paths it's the way things are done these days, but I really like the simple basic path, especially when you use smooth lighting. I don't know why people do this. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that path. I don't know why people do that. I understand why people go with variated pathing if this is the path they see, but when you turn on the smooth lighting, it looks great. It's already variated. Look at all the different colors I have going on here. And it's very simple to use. There's two reasons I used it here. Part of it is this is my low-yield iron farm, so between moss carpeting and pathing, I didn't have a whole lot of choices to keep the iron golems from spawning anywhere but where I want them. But anyway, enough on that pass. So you can see here, I built a little koi pond. Lots of little fishies in here. It's just a little small decorative thing. I didn't know what else to do with it, but with this spot, and I was like, well, let's make something pretty. I just like the way it looks. I think it turned out pretty good. And of course, here we have the individually housed librarians with all the more important books for sale. And I really like how this turned out. This is something where I tend to differ from the trends. Building everything big and massive seems to be the way everything is going, but trying to find a way to make an interesting, smaller design can actually prove more difficult than the massive build designs. They're all beautiful and great and everything, but I like small builds. And I really like how this design worked out. It's the same design for each of the huts, but different block palettes for each. Sort of an eclectic architecture design. They're all the same while looking very different from each other. Now I also placed fences around all the little houses to kind of give it that small backyard look to each of the builds. But one thing that I was surprised by was staggering the trapdoors works a lot better at giving the appearance of a fence than stacking them all in a line. I don't know about you, but I definitely prefer the staggered fencing here than the straight line fencing. And now it's time for a bit of random. Come on, little froggies, get in the portal. Come on, come on. You know you want to. Get into the portal. There you go. And this has been a bit of random. And over here I built a semi-custom cherry tree. I say semi-custom because you can make pretty decent trees by just growing a few right next to each other and then breaking out a few of the blocks to make it look a little more like a tree. I think it turned out pretty good. Again, not anything massive, but scaled to fit the area. And over here are more variations on the librarian huts, and here is the hot tub all the golems take a bath in. And this, this is the enchanting house. I don't think I've ever showed this. It houses all my spare enchantments and potions and extra armor and tools from all the end rays I do. Oh yeah, and this is my one and only armor trim. I'm not the biggest fan of the armor trim system. I mean, nothing against it. I just never see myself, so I never see a reason to trim it all up. You know, if that makes any sense. And who could mistake this for anything but a super-duper smelting system of doom? I mean, I know it's pretty small, but I make the best use of my play style as I can. With work, I end up AFKing a lot, and so I really don't need anything bigger than this. Kelpin food is cooked on the right, ores on the left, and everything else in the middle. This really is enough for all my needs. And then here, this is something I've never shown. This is just a little hut. It stores my gunpowder. Oh, that's embarrassing. It stores my gunpowder. There we go. And why? Because down here is my creeper farm. So I just have a little 3-layer creeper farm using the cats and the minecarts method. But, doesn't have to be fancy. It's buried underground. And it works. But as you heard, as we fell down from above, we heard a lot of slimes going on. And above the creeper farm, I have at the moment it's a manual slime farm, but as you can see, it does work. Run! Don't have any armor on. But there's my manual slime farm. I was going to automate it at some point, but it just got to the point of I have more slime than I'm ever going to use, so why would I automate it? And if we go up here, we come to the copper oxidizing room. And I figured if anyone who wants copper might as well start with the green, the fully oxidized copper. And you can scrape off what you don't like. It's a lot better than starting off with the orange and waiting forever for it to turn green. Oh, I don't have a helmet on. Oh, Lord. I'm gonna die! Whew. Okay. And we come out in the middle of the village well. I really like this design. It's sort of my design. I mean, I looked at a lot of well designs and took a piece from this and a piece from that and added in a little bit of Gragore and voila! It turned into this. But that's sort of how all designs work anymore, right? Over here you got a wheat and carrot farm, and here's the sugarcane farm that I started with before I made the automated farm over there. And here's potatoes and beets, because you know how everyone likes beets. Everyone eats beets, right? And this, of course, is the netherwort farm, although on this server it's purely decorative, as we have the vanilla tweak set up to allow us to uncraft netherwort blocks into netherwort. So no real need for a farm for it, but it adds to the overall aesthetic of the farming village and adds a bit of color. This, of course, is the wool farm with all the little sheepies working their little sheepy butts off for me. Thank you, little guys, for all your hard work. Now we'll skip over this building for a moment and move on to the shepherd's hut. This is one of those experiments that never quite worked. It's where the shepherds are housed, but I was trying to experiment with using the pink blocks and doing a high color build, which is completely different from what I normally do. I kept it to see if it would ever grow on me, and it never did. But it is what it is. You know, it's not horrible, but you know, sometimes you need to keep things like this around to remind yourself of what you've already tried that didn't work. And now this house, done up in the good old style of throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. This house houses the villager who grows all my sniffer flowers. I actually like the way this one turned out, but it has a whole lot of detail work to it. Possibly too much, but I think in this case it works. Now inside you can't really see anything, as the house is literally barely big enough to disguise what it is inside. So let me step back a bit to when I was building it and give you a look at the design. It's based on a RaiseWorks design he did early on, but I made a few minor tweaks to it to prevent some of the losses of crops I was seeing from AFK sessions. The dropper on top keeps him filled up with the flower seeds, and the dispenser on the side bone meals the flowers so that he will break them. Then they're picked up in the hopper below, and the whole cycle repeats until you're out of bone meal or seeds. This farm ate a whole lot of bone meal to keep it running, but it was definitely better than manually planting and harvesting them. And speaking of the sniffer flowers, I used them to cover the new hills I created to the east and southwest of the village. I then added walking paths through the fields of flowers to give it a sort of park feel, and even added a little tree swing at the top of the hill to take in the view of the setting sun. I really like this nature path through the field of flowers. It's exactly what I was picturing in my head when I originally thought of this, and this is one of those build things that I sometimes get surprised by. Normally my brain is just so literal that it's difficult for me to not think in straight lines or square shapes. And when placing fence posts, this would mean that all the fences must be connected, because that's what fences do. So that's obviously how you have to build them, all connected. You know, every single fence post is connected to each other. And yet, I found placing the fence posts like this, where the corners never actually meet up with anything, somehow works against logic to give this feel of everything is fenced in while leaving it open enough to actually still see things. It's a weird thing for me. It doesn't make any logical sense to my brain, but I definitely prefer the fences unconnected like this. It just works. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and all in all, I think the village turned out pretty good. There were, of course, other plans I never got to, like the lighthouse and seaport to the south of the village, or redesigning the houses along the south side to match the houses on the north, but sadly, I just ran out of time. which happens every season for me, but, you just do what you can and make the best of everything. And speaking of out of time, it is the last episode of Season 5. How's that for a segue? And as we always do on Roguecraft, we celebrate the season with a fireworks show. Now, I do have to apologize for the audio quality in this portion of the video, but I thought I had the volume levels set pretty well, but didn't realize that the fireworks would overwhelm everybody talking. But, that said, you go to a fireworks show to see the pretty lights and hear the big booms, not to chat. Am I right? Am I right? So without further ado, off to the show we go.
Watch out, I'm hunting Gragores.
Are we now doing PvP?
I know you can't.
It.
I can't have the most deaths on this season. It's not fair.
Hey, you got me by a few, so I think you do. You're toast, buddy.
You can tell I've rushed this because nothing's where it should be.
So G, before you guys press any buttons, you should give us a speech or something deep and meaningful, and echoes through the crater in front of us.
Through the annals of Roguecraft history.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just
All
do
the way
it.
back to the whole of season 1.
Insane, like big boom.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there were Western rogues.
Yeah.
And then they became rogues who decided to craft. 5 years later, we're here. Let's go.
I salute you, each of you, the rogues, the real rogues.
And I like these little ones that have little square colors too.
I'm speechless. This is gorgeous.
This looks amazing, guys.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
Oh, I just saw that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You're fired, Stormy.
Someone needed to hire Torchman.
Yeah, I don't even know how that guy got in here.
You did it.
It is very nice.
It's better than the traveling thing because the minecart was so good through that one time.
Yeah, that was the issue. It was the redstone and the minecarts. It wasn't the fireworks.
This is fantastic.
I like the minecart.
Yeah, I like it
too.
But then it
didn't like that.
I'm gonna stand somewhere else.
What happened to this holding it?
FIFA.
Oh.
Yeah, it's only the one with 10.
Did he actually take you out? No phantoms.
Okay.
We all slept.
And zombies, so long.
This is actually pretty cool to fly around through the exploding balls and stuff.
That's what you have to do.
Does that hurt you?
I'm using free cam to circle around through the fireworks right now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
3 times not dangerous. But I'm flying outright, and it's not working. Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Let's open.
That's damage.
I've got iron armor on and I'm surviving. Yep. I guess the bottom ones are finished now, right?
Yeah. And so are these ones.
I'm gonna try to pick it from high.
Oh, yay!
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 Yay.
And it's finished.
Well done, guys. Really well done.
How are you?
Yeah.
Good job.
That's beautiful. Just beautiful.
We'll have to maybe retry the million and do it differently.
Oh, I have had bans. Which is whether I can pull them off.
All 1 million firing from one dispenser.
Oh, yeah.
3 hours later.
Yeah.
3 days later.
And that, my friends, brings us to the end of Season 5. But don't you worry, Season 6 is already underway and will be coming our way soon. Ish. Well, eventually. I make no promises other than there will be videos. But until then, I have been Gragore, and this has been Roguecraft. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, always try and find a way to make it fun. See ya!